Thanks for joining us today at noon. I'm Alexandra Lewis. It is a very emotional day for victims who were targeted with fire during a peaceful protest about the war in Gaza. Just a few hours ago, the man seen on video committing the act, Mohammed Suleiman, pleaded guilty to all the state charges against him. Last June, Suleiman was seen throwing Molotov cocktails at a group of people on Pearl Street Mall. The attack killed one woman and injured more than a dozen others. Once he entered his guilty pleas to murder and other charges this morning, the judge moved the case directly to the sentencing phase, even though the charges carry an automatic life without parole sentence. The surviving victims are giving their impact statements right now before he learns his punishment. It's believed Suleiman targeted the group because they were raising awareness of Israeli hostages being held in Gaza. As a result, he also faces a federal hate charge, and prosecutors are still deciding whether he should face the death penalty. We'll have so much more coverage from the courtroom later today right here on 9 News. What a difference 24 hours can make, especially in Colorado. Snow was piling up yesterday, but the warmth will be back today, and we should be back near 70 degrees. But utility crews are still out there working hard to restore power. You've probably seen them around. In fact, Littleton Public Schools had to call off school today for Sandburg Elementary specifically because its power is still out. Right now, Excel's outage map says there are nearly 2,600 customers still in the dark. There are quite a few trees and limbs down around town as well. People will likely spend the next few days cleaning all that up. Some communities will let you put those in your trash bins, but others, like Denver, want those small branches in their compost carts. But there are branch collection sites, so just check in with your city to find one of those to use. Luckily, the 2-day precipitation totaled over an inch for the Front Range mountains and the plains. That is a lot of precipitation, but our snowpack and water deficits are significant. So while the recent precipitation definitely puts a dent in the drought, we're still suffering from all those record-setting high temperatures and the unusually dry weather we've had over the last several months. Our snowpack is still around 22% of average. The Colorado Climate Center points out that not everywhere in Colorado saw the type of rain and the type of snow that we got near Denver. So let's check in with our meteorologist, Chris Bianchi, on this forecast. It put a dent, but not really, is not going to do a whole lot. Is that right, Chris?
You know, it helps. It's going to help out with fire danger. There's no doubt about that, especially on the front end of fire season. So that's where it's going to really help. Number two is where we saw the heaviest snow is pretty targeted. So there are some communities. So for example, Fort Collins area reservoirs did really well. Here in Denver, where we get our water from, which is a lot of the Colorado River, those areas, not as much precipitation as, say, northern Colorado. So it was really the Yampa, the White, the South Platte basins that got the most water out of the storm. So again, depends on exactly where your community draws from. That makes sense in terms of who saw the most benefit. But you know what? We'll take this. This is excellent news. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I know a lot of you were without power. We lost power for a little bit last night as well. Look, it's just, again, that is certainly the big issue. Otherwise, we saw some really beneficial water out of this storm. Biggest May snowstorm since 2003. Still seeing a few rain showers across the northeastern plains. Morgan, Washington, and Logan County seeing a little bit of that water right now. Not a significant rain event, but later this week, we're going to turn on the warmer side, and by next week, we could be flirting with 90 degrees. I'll have details on that in my 7-day forecast.
So what about the water restrictions in a lot of cities and towns? Water managers say they're still in effect because that snowfall didn't do enough for the region's long-term water supply.
Be excited about the fact that it's snowing, right? But also be practical. This is not going to get us out of the drought that we are in.
Most of the water we use on the Front Range comes from mountain snowpack, not storms in the city. And as we just mentioned, the snowpack is only at 22% average. But communities further north saw some heavier snowfall, and that likely helped the mountain watersheds in their area. Frisco, excuse me, is another town saying mandatory water restrictions are still taking effect there. Their restrictions start tomorrow. Town officials say the area got just over half of its average snowfall this winter, creating a major drop in stored water levels. So to protect their water and supply heading into the summer, outdoor watering will only be allowed on certain days, depending on addresses. Restaurants will also only be serving water if customers specifically ask for it. The chair of the Democratic National Committee is in Denver this week to see if the city would be the right one to host the 2028 National Convention. Denver is the third of 5 cities that Chair Ken Martin has visited before the committee makes their final decision. Denver and state leaders made their case at a press conference yesterday, and they highlighted the city's transportation system. They also pointed to policy wins like free kindergarten and a decrease in street homelessness. But if chosen, Denver's mayor says the city has a plan to raise enough money to host. The DNC was last held in Denver in 2008 when Barack Obama accepted the nomination. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been at the Vatican talking with Pope Leo after President Donald Trump's public criticisms of him last month. Rubio met with the Pope and the Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin in a visit that lasted 2.5 hours. While the talks were aimed at easing tensions, a State Department official says Rubio and the Pope also discussed the shared commitment to promoting peace and human dignity in the Middle East, along with how to achieve that level of peace. Right now, an Iranian government spokesperson says they're reviewing the latest U.S. peace proposal.